How many we got? February 2nd, 2023, public forum. First speaker, Timothy McNeil. Do we have Timothy McNeil here? Thank you. Our next speaker will be Jerry Price.
I've got a map that's being passed out to each of you. It's a more of an updated map, Mr. Kohler. This map is District 2, and it's about the people that don't have a home, that are in tents. And you'll find the blue highlighting is dilemmas that have been resolved. Tents gone, people moved out. I started this back in January of 22. It's now January, February of 23. It's been lengthy. It's been demoralizing. I don't know if this is accomplishment or if it's just playing whack-a-mole, moving somebody to another area. I really don't know. I know that you've got people sleeping on the sidewalk still. Yesterday, they removed the last place for people to go was in the woods by Border Street. The biggest problem that the homeless have is a place to go, a place they can call their own. And I hope that you commissioners and anybody else that's involved in this will try to find a place for them. I'm not trying to be mean to them by getting rid of the tents or anything, but, and I've developed a relationship with some of these guys that are homeless, and my heart goes out to them. But in all reality, they want their alcohol and they want their drugs. They don't want to go into a program. And you guys are going to have a tough one trying to get them into a program. I'll tell you that right now. This other one is a picture of Lucky 7. It is I can't say anything nice about it, so I'm just not going to say anything. But you guys got to do something about this station. I don't know what camping laws and ordinance. That's about all I got to say.
Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate it. Next speaker, Larry Downs Jr.
Hello, Larry Downs Jr., 12156 Havberg Drive, Pensacola, Florida. I got the USA Today paper here from Monday. At least once a week they put it in there, sometimes 3 times a week. The FDA panel moves towards simplifying COVID-19 vaccines. Now our local health department, you just can't make this up. I mean, you remember you got the COVID profile pic with I got vaccinated. We can do this together. We're all in. Remember all that nonsense? My mask protects you. Your mask protects me. We know that was nonsense. Because now people are wearing it. I wear this mask to protect me. I don't care about nobody else. I'm like, oh, we done had a switch here. I'm asking people daily. On the way here, I seen a few of them on the sidewalk. I asked them, you get vaccinated for COVID? Yeah. They don't have a clue. None of y'all have a clue. If you did it, you just did it. You got duped. Because my whole family, nobody had a problem one except for my brother. He had 2 of the Pfizers. He's now on heart medication. You're younger than me. It's just sad. It's sad. And of course, it seems to give a pass to some people. I don't know. Anyways, just to go back to that, How much time I got?
What did you need, Larry?
Lumen will let me know when I have 10 seconds left.
No, you got 10 minutes, Larry,
All right.
on Friday.
Yeah, so anyways, the COVID-19 vaccines, more than 2 years after the first shots became available, well over 90% of the American public has now been infected, vaccinated, or both. Meaning, well, of course, or both, because a lot of people who got the vaccine got the COVID multiple more times. Interesting. So anyhow, meaning that the level of protection against severe disease is vastly different than it was when the vaccines were first introduced in December of 2020. With the vaccines and boosters, oh, how many y'all got? You got lucky number 5? Anyways, different vaccines in different age groups. Now, y'all know as good as I do that children, if you've done anything, children have zero risk.
5 seconds, Larry.
Zero risk. Isn't that amazing? And y'all brought your children there? Should be ashamed.
Thanks, Larry. I appreciate it. Our next speaker will be Dan Darford.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you. The sound room, would you tell them to turn on my presentation? I have it plugged into the computer. And I'll take that 10 minutes on Friday if I can get it with any one of y'all. Well, I appreciate it. So I know your time's very limited, so I'm going to finish up a presentation.
I'll assign Commissioner Bagash. He'll be available.
All right. I appreciate it.
Not a problem.
And you all look radiant tonight. I appreciate you taking your time out today from your families and what you do. So Project Hydrology, I'm going to finish up that presentation we started from last week. I got a few presentations you can hand out. And what's interesting is that, through the world of automation, you can now reduce your retention ponds by half the size. So for the jail, for example, that's stressed right now with its land development, we can reduce that pond by half. More so than that, can you create land by the controlled release of water through automation, you can reduce the peak flow discharge by 50%. And not only the peak flow discharge that we designed for, what's most important about that is the timing of the peak is just as important as the peak. And by doing that, you can reduce that floodway. So automated device, you can control it from your phone. While you're sleeping, it will trip and dewater ponds automatically. This is cheap infrastructure, $50,000. And to grow lots of land, so when here's Taco Bell, the Sheriff's Department here in Birmingham. And here's a very interesting model that we did. In this model, how much time I have? 10 seconds? Yeah. So in this model right here, what's very interesting is, and you can see it in the, let me go back here. Kind of the middle bottom right there. So on the left, the existing model, that's a lot like 11 Mile Creek. On the right, that's kind of what we're doing with 11 Mile Creek now. You're putting water and you're assigning water to these surface areas to reduce the peak flow. So this model we did in Birmingham, Alabama, we reduced and lowered the base flood elevation by 3 feet by controlling the release. So the timing of the peak is key. And you can now do that with automation. So just think forward as you're managing your land, because you're trapped, right? Many years, we had no stormwater management. So every time it rains, you're in a 100-year event, and people don't realize that. So I know you got a very challenging job, and I appreciate what you're doing, but you got the ability to make some really neat decisions for us moving forward.
Dan, I like it, and Wes, I hope that engineering will spend some time. I don't know if they spent time with Dan, but I hope that they do, because I think that legitimately you have some great ideas, Dan.
I appreciate your time today, gentlemen. I really do. And
Thanks, Dan.
And I'm here just to support, I can help. And I appreciate the staff. Staff is really Rob and the guys, and thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Appreciate what y'all doing. Have a good evening.
Next speaker will be Chris Kerr. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, guys. And plenty of models. Love to talk to you.
We will.
Thank you.
How y'all doing today? Last meeting, I talked about how our state dollars are bailing out insurance companies. High risk equals high insurance. Better drainage equals lower risk. And we've made some progress. And I've seen a lot of progress. In my 25 years with working with the county, seen quite a bit of progress in stormwater management. Code changes, pond database, lot grading and inspectors, GIS, damage assessment programs. Of course, there were a lot of unfilled goals when I was working for you guys. Basin models for the entire county. GIS compatible asset management system for our drainage. A bigger, better stormwater management division. I always talk about plan, protect, invest, and maintain. I'm gonna start out at maintain, since, thanks for the 3 minutes this time.
Don't worry about it. You come Friday, you get 10 as well.
Okay. Aging drainage infrastructure is failing like rusted corrugated metal pipes emerge after every major storm event. We don't even know how much corrugated metal pipe we have out there. If we had an asset management system and cameraed all the pipes, and we'd know what we had out there. Last I checked, we had 687 ponds. I'm sure we got more than that that the county maintains, and we have a backlog of pond maintenance rehab. I don't know what the vacancies are, but last time I checked, it was about 48%. In 2006, the county passed an ordinance, it's 2006-51. Every pond that the county accepted, we do an MSBU for maintenance on it. Well, one of the things in the whereas statements of that ordinance is it says as pond totals increase, staffing and equipment needs would be increased. But our maintenance budgets didn't get increased. At least they weren't when I was there. So increase in budgets for stormwater, including maintenance, should be our goal. I'm going to skip down to the invest part. I don't know if y'all saw it, $22 million from the DEO for buyouts. NOAA just got $4.9 billion for the Floods and Precept Act. They're going to be updating our rainfall data. It's basically going to have to do it every 10 years. There's a lot of good work coming out of NOAA, and I sure hope that when we get our rainfall data changed in our land development code to utilize NOAA. But
Go ahead and close down, Chris.
yes, sir. I'll be sending this to you by email a little bit more than I can
Thanks,
get in
Chris.
3
Appreciate all
minutes,
your work
but
you do
thank
for stormwater. D'Amica Potomi.
Hello, first time at a meeting. Have a concern with the homeless. My son is a student at Brentwood Elementary. Horrible. He has to go down to Tono every morning for the walkers. It's not safe. I'm not sure what's wrong with Town and Country Plaza. Got the bus station, jailhouse, Waterfront Mission, health department. Everything they need is right there. Grounds for if you want to put tents there, parking lot big. My concern is the kids, the safety of the kids. It's horrible on Palafox. Yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Mr. Potomi. And if you stay to the meeting tonight, I think you'll see something as it relates to that part tonight on the agenda. Our next speaker will be Jerome Best. Oh, you better hurry up. Reset it. Well, come on, Jerome, you can keep talking. Let's get started. All right, let's go. Let's go.
I understand.
All right, let's go.
Lord have mercy. I'm here on behalf of the employee base of ECAT. When I say the employee base ECAT, I'm speaking of the silent majority who do not consider ourselves loyal to the union. We have questions that have been answered, that have not been answered, but it's very easy to get a straight answer. We try and try and try. We are not willing to pay the ATA money because it continues to go up and up all the time, and we're not getting any results. What is the confusion, you may ask? The confusion is not being given all the information, but being fed crumbs that make up the union looks good, but not the information we need to be truly informed. The non-dues paid employees are not allowed to vote for things that matter, like wages. We are there was a contract ratification vote that took place that multiple employees need to be informed of, and that ratification blocked a contract that would have allowed us, all of us, to receive a pay increase. We are deserving of that pay increase. Majority agrees and minority won because their information has always been just that, what they say goes. And you have a lot of single parents around here that needs pay increases. They raising 2 and 3 kids. You know, we all know the situation. We need our raise. I come to speak to y'all with the questions and concerns because there are answers and protections that we are needed for the majority who want to stand up and speak out against the union, but they are afraid. I'm not. I was in the Marine Corps. Ain't afraid. They're afraid because they have been an organization that has been run the transfer facility for decades without resistance. We are Escambia County employees. We desire to have the benefits of being exactly that of an Escambia County employee, not looked at as a bunch of second-class employees. Mr. Marino.
Yes, sir.
As the county administrator, we would like to speak directly with yourself to resolve our concerns and hear your thoughts versus hearing only one side. According to certain sources, you guys are blocking our raises. I have better information, but we need to hear both sides. I'm probably going to have a tough time now as we work because I am asking to make a stand, but this is, again, not about me, but about the majority of employees who are truly have been represented, given accurate information. We need to hear other people's voices. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Jerome, and I'm not going to, Administrator Marino has done a great job.
Yes.
The raise has been on the table
I know.
for many years.
Right.
And that's the reality, and no one stood up for mass transit more than I have.
Right.
And so I want Willie Codd, I want you, we go back 30, 40 years.
Right.
Y'all deserve to get the money.
I agree.
And so that's our position.
That's what we're here
my
for.
position.
I'm trying to get my money.
Yeah, we're there, and Director Marino has made that offer. I can
Okay.
assure you of that.
Okay.
And the money's still on the table.
And what about the 4% cost of living?
It's on the table. We are scheduling the impasse hearing with regards to the collective bargaining agreement for March the 23rd, it looks like will be the date. If there's a desire by the board to push out any other information to your employees, we can certainly work on a method by which.
Jerome,
we can
she's
do
right.
that.
We shouldn't discuss it here publicly, but no, you got support. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to say one thing. Any ECAT employee that is represented by the collective bargaining unit, doesn't mean you pay dues. You're represented by the collective bargaining unit. You absolutely are a voting member. You have that right to vote. If anybody tells you you're not allowed to vote, that is incorrect.
That's what we was told.
It is absolutely incorrect.
Okay.
That's untrue.
We need to fix that.
Yep.
Can y'all help us with that?
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Appreciate you, Jerome. Harriet?
Good evening. My name is Harriet Page, 908 North V Street. I'm here from the Mass Transit Department, or also known as ECAT. I am nervous because I never thought there was anyone other than the union president, Mike Lowry, who could come and speak to you all. I was under the impression we needed his permission and you all will only listen to him. Guess not, because I'm here in front of you all. Now, the real reason I'm here, the reason I would take money out of my household as a single mother of 2 kids and get an occurrence for, I'm here with questions that seem as if they should be so simple, but the answers are never given. 1, what are the rights of employees that are not union dues paying? I ask that because we are made to feel like if we aren't giving our money to the union, we don't have a say-so in anything, and that we need them or we will be in some sort of trouble. 2, what if you don't give the union money? What all can you vote on? Again, another one of those questions you can't get an answer from anyone about. 3, why are all the meetings regarding our contract scheduled while we are working? I ask that because keeping it that way only allows us to hear the union side, or should I say Mike Lowry's side, versus hearing our own knowledge to make our opinion. 4, if we at ECAT are Escambia County employees, why can't we be treated like Escambia County employees? Everyone at ECAT are not following Mike Lowry and buying everything he is selling. We just don't know what to do or how to do anything because the union has had control and been the voice there for so long. Yes, there are some employees that will believe if he said today was Sunday, even if they read their own calendar and it said Thursday. But all of us aren't like that, especially me. I have my own mind and my own children to care for. At work, it's going to be difficult now because I want my own answers, but not afraid of the consequences of speaking out. I'm hoping others will now see we don't have to let Mike Lowry be our voice because usually his voice is for him and our voice should be for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Harriet. Next speaker will be Will Smith. Hey, Will.
Chairman,
How are you, sir?
board members. I came here tonight to ask what's going on. I have several questions that I would like to ask the board. Why is black churches being targeted in this community? Second one, when it's the only source or assets that basically they help try to keep our community intact. 3, was there people from the community present when the decision was made to purchase Inglewood property? 4, who made the suggestion to build a new center, whereas there's already one that could be improved? 5, you would take the only resources that we have away from us that teaches love, worship, and unity, and things like that when all these different crimes are being going on in the community, and build a center, whereas other things should be applied in our community, and build a new center? I don't get it. I don't get it. And this is the 3rd church in our community that has been targeted. You remove the church, what can they teach the children? You remove the church, it's already crime infested. The love is being taken already, crime on crime. So why is my question. Through God's grace and mercy, I don't know who made the decision, who suggested it or anything like that, but we need places like that. A center is good in this place, but the church is the one that teaches the children from this on up as an adults, so they can teach their own children how to love, care, and look out for one another. Togetherness is what I'm talking about. Togetherness.
Will, may I make a recommendation to you? You should go to Inglewood on Sunday and talk to the pastor. We've not made an offer, but you should go talk to Pastor Larry Watson, and I think he can answer those questions for you.
Okay, but I'm just concerned, and that's
No, you're
That's
rightfully concerned, but I would just talk to the pastor and the trustees of that church. This county has not purchased anything, has not even made an offer, but I would talk to that pastor about the conditions of that church if I were you.
okay. I appreciate your concern.
Thanks,
and
Will.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker will be Sean Michael Young.
All right, thank you guys for the opportunity to speak today. So I just wanted to remind everyone of the urgency of what the Word of God tells us. So the Scriptures tells us that it's appointed for man to die once and then the judgment. So this is the day of salvation, the Lord tells us. So in 1 Timothy chapter 2, verses 1 through 3, it says, first of all, then I urge that petitions, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgiving be offered on behalf of all men, for kings and all those in authority, so that we may lead tranquil and quiet lives in all godliness and dignity. This is good and pleasing in the sight of our God and our Savior. So looking at Scripture, I'm just reminded all the time of God gives us so many promises. He gives, and the Scripture comes to mind in 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14, where it says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sin and I will heal their land. So as Larry Downs mentioned, with the COVID and all this deception that's been brought before us, that we've been led under, our nation's a disaster. You know, we just finally had an end to the abortion clinic that was here, where we were murdering babies right in our own county, in our own city of Pensacola. And I want to extend a prayer to you guys right now, just in regard to the authority that you guys have been given over this county. So, Lord, I just pray, Lord, for these folks here that are in authority. We've elected many of them, Lord, and we just ask you, Lord, that that they might fulfill the purpose for which you have placed them in this current position, Lord, that they are elected and appointed to office. They take an oath to office, Lord. I pray that they would take that oath to the Constitution, Lord, both the Constitution of the United States, Lord, and the Constitution of this state itself, Lord. I just pray, Lord, that they would take that seriously, Lord. We're given under the state constitution and the United States Constitution the right to life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness, Lord. So I just pray, Lord, that these men and women here, Lord, they would take it seriously, the murder that has happened in our county and in our city, Lord.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be George Levy.
Hello, Commissioners. My concern is the drainage at a new development that's being built at the moment. I have 2 copies of my thing. My concern is the concern about the continuing development that has questionable layout and design. This specifically is regard to a new development presently being built on Camellia Road, connected to West Roberts. It's composed of single-family housing units with the street approximately 1/4 mile long, straight down with like a drop of 30 foot, and 2 housing units at the very end, lower end, where a lot of drainage could eventually end up. There are a few gutter drains along the way, but not likely to collect and redirect all drainage, especially if a drainage system is not properly maintained and sized. My concern is directly related to those 2 potential housing units at the end that could get flooded during a heavy rain with inadequate drainage control. I don't understand how a housing developer can propose this kind of layout, and even worse, how various Escambia County agencies and departments reviewed and approved this. If there is a major flooding problem, who will be financially responsible? Besides the poor, unexpected homeowners who will have to wrangle with their property insurance companies. The major question is, how much will the taxpayers be affected by these poor decisions? In consideration of recent involvement in past flooding legacy issues, such as examples of Bristol Park and Lake Charlene, it appears the Escambia County departments have been involved. Unfortunately, these appear to be boomerang projects, never designed properly, and required several repeat corrective actions to address. Time will tell if the latest fixes are adequate. I have a concern with those involved and if they have public interest in mind. Why would this not make people concerned if there are any favors? Thank you.
Thanks, George. I appreciate it. Our next speaker will be Aaron Snyder.
My name is Aaron Schneier. Hello, y'all. Not really ready tonight, but I wanted to read to you all from Romans 13, 1 through 4. It says, "Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authority resists what God has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment. For rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad. Would you have no fear of the one who is in authority? Then do what is good, and you will receive his approval, for he is God's servant for your good. And so this is what God tells us about being any kind of government position, that you're actually a servant of God. And I don't know whether most people think that when they're in government, but they certainly are according to God. So many of you know that people throughout the scriptures were used, like Esther. She went to the king to save her people, the Jews, from death. Going to the king was punishable by death without being invited by the king. She went anyways because people were going to be murdered amongst the land that they lived in. Same with Joseph. In the Bible, he was sold into slavery, thrown into prison, later rose to one of the highest positions in the Egyptian government, and God gave him wisdom to save people from famine. So there are many things practical and moral to fix in Pensacola, and I want to encourage you. You all know more about the practical, and I can't say I know a lot about the moral, but I do know that you all can and should be a voice against homosexuality, transgenderism, and sexually explicit books in our schools. I don't know if you all know that there's been a list of about 150 sexually explicit, vile, disgusting books. I've looked at one or two of them, and it'll make you blush, to have a picture of an erection by a man in a children's book in our schools. That's disgusting. So we need to be willing to speak about those things and make ordinances and decisions. There's laws on the book in Florida, 847.012. I can't go to a school in this town and hand that book to a child. I'll be arrested, but they're in our school libraries. So we can do something about this, and we're obligated to. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If you call my office, I'd love to have a conversation with you about how we exclude race and ethnicity and correlate that with there's no response, but call my office. And so there's a lot in the AP courses that's very disappointing in this country today. So I agree with you. Josh Luther.
Good evening. Tonight I wanted to read part of the book, When a Nation Forgets God, by Erwin Lutzer. He writes, "Please read this eyewitness account of how some members of the church reacted to the Nazism of their times. Put yourself in their shoes and ask, what would I have done? I lived in Germany during the Nazi Holocaust. I considered myself a Christian. We heard stories of what was happening to the Jews, but we tried to distance ourselves from it. Because what could anyone do to stop it? A railroad track ran behind our small church, and each Sunday morning, we could hear the whistle in the distance, and then the wheels coming over the tracks. We became disturbed when we heard the cries coming from the train as it passed by. We realized that it was carrying Jews like cattle in the cars. Week after week, the whistles would blow. We dreaded to hear the sound of those wheels because we knew that we would hear the cries of the Jews en route to a death camp. Their screams tormented us. We knew the time the train was coming, and when we heard the whistle blow, we began singing hymns. By the time the train came past our church, we were singing at the top of our voices. If we heard the screams, we sang more loudly, and soon we heard them no more. Years have passed, and no one talks about it anymore, but I still hear that train whistle in my sleep. God, forgive me. Forgive all of us who called ourselves Christian, yet did nothing to intervene. The murder of those 6 million Jews was legal under German law. But God has made a higher law, and he says, you shall not murder. He says, he who sheds innocent blood, by man his blood shall be shed. 60 million preborn boys and girls have been murdered in our country And it is legal. And so few of our leaders have followed God, obeyed God's word, and opened their mouth for those. They have said, it is legal. There is nothing we can do. You can always open your mouth. You have a right to stand up for the weak and oppressed. You have a right to sacrifice everything to serve Christ your King. There will be a day of judgment. And to those who have done their duty, God will say, well done, thou good and faithful servant. But to those who have been sluggards, who have been cowards, he cannot, he will not have mercy. There will be a day of justice.
Thank you, Josh, and I appreciate that. And, it is a sad day. You don't have to go. 200 million people died in the Middle Passage, and we can't even teach it in our schools today. You're right. Cowards will be judged. Charles Luther.
Good evening. Mr. Chairman, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I've tried to look through this agenda well for the regular meeting, and I don't see anything in here concerning the public libraries. I know my brother mentioned the school libraries, but I don't see anything in the agenda for your regular meeting concerning the public libraries. This is a terrible thing. On Tuesday night, I went to the main library, and there's homosex. Mr. Chairman, I'm speaking.
Keep going,
And
your
there's
time's running.
homosex books in there for adults, for juveniles, for children. And if I'm not mistaken, I think four of the 5 county commissioners are Republican. And let me read to you, Mr. Chairman, the Republican platform that is current. Traditional marriage and family based on marriage between one man and one woman is the foundation for a free society and has for millennia been entrusted with rearing children and instilling cultural values.
Are you reading that for Democrats or Republicans? I'm a little confused.
I said this is the Republican platform.
Oh, I ran on the Democratic ticket.
And I'm sorry?
I said I ran on the Democratic ticket.
Right.
Okay, yeah, right.
And I'm addressing you because I'm instructed to address you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, well, that's fine. Well,
And
you said
so this is
Republican.
actually, forgive me, this is actually the Florida Republican platform. And they also state here, I quoted a minute ago, I'm quoting again. We also condemn the Supreme Court's lawless ruling in Obergefell versus Hodges. And as I continue on, they also say, quote, the court twisted the meaning of the 14th Amendment beyond recognition, and they're referencing Obergefell. Why have you, the county commissioners, not done anything in regards to these homosex books in our libraries? It's an abominable, it's vile. Listen to the word of the Lord. You shall not lie with a male as with a woman. It is an abomination. Do you not know, here's another one. Do you not know that the unrighteous will not inherit the kingdom of God? Do not be deceived, neither the sexually immoral, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor passive participants in homosex, nor active participants in homosex, etc., etc. And it says they will not inherit the kingdom of God. Now we thank God that verse, that scripture goes on and it states that some are washed, some are sanctified, some are justified. But only those that repent and believe in Jesus Christ. And I urge you to repent. Because for you to be an advocate, and you are being an advocate if you do nothing about these books in our library. If you remain an advocate for this abhorrent sexual
You have 5
behavior,
seconds, Charles.
you will face God and it will not go well with you. I pray
Thank
it
you
will
so
not
much.
happen.
Thank you, Charles. I hope it doesn't happen. Kent Langham.
Good evening. Kent Langham, the associate pastor at the Cross Church, Palafox, right next to the park. Just want to put one more argument forward. Let's use proper judgment. Let's move forward with putting this tax collector's office where that park is.
Kent, that's on the agenda. So can we speak to that, Madam Counsel? We can't speak to it, Kent. You can speak at the meeting.
The
You
meeting.
can't, yeah, it's on the agenda. You can't speak items that's on the agenda, but it'll be an item that you can sign up for. We'll make sure at the item we call you back up. Okay. All right, thanks. Next speaker will be David McDonald.
Hello, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. Just wanted to introduce myself and to the board as well. My name's David McDonald. I'm the new president of the Bayou Chico Association. We're focused on water quality, watershed quality, and water management. We've been around for many decades. We meet once a month, and every now and then we'll see Mr. Kohler join us as well. We're looking to engage with you, focused on water quality of the bayou, a very important waterway in our county. I'd look to partner with you. I'd look to have many of our other members come in. We have a new board. We're reinvigorating, and I appreciate the opportunity to say hello to you, introduce myself, and work with you in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, David. We certainly appreciate you being here. We stand adjourned. We will begin promptly at 5:30.
you've seen it. Of course, he's only been the chair about 3 times. This is the kind of tumor he's turned. Right, exactly. Exactly. It's an embarrassment to the whole county board commissioners. You'd be hard pressed. But let's just pray he has a change of heart. And that he's replaced. Just.
I've only been here 2 months. We're pretty sorry about that. Okay.
I have to leave at some point. I don't want to make me wait.
Board of County Commissioners, regular meeting, February 2nd, 2023. Aaron Lee McGahey Building. Please turn your cell phone to vibrate silence or the offsetting. The Board of County Commissioners allows any person to speak regarding an item on the agenda. The speaker is limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise determined by the chairman to allow for sufficient time for all speakers. The invocation tonight, Commissioner Kohler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gene Franklin, will you please come up and give us our invocation?
Good evening. Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, I'd like to thank you, Father, for all that you've done and all that you're going to do. Now, Father, I thank you for the opportunity to stand here and to pray on the behalf of the leaders of this county and this community. Father, I ask that you bless them, Father, that you touch them like you've never touched them before. Father, we thank you, Father, for their willingness to serve, Father. We thank you, Father, as demonstrated tonight, Father, for their patience, Father. Father, bless their families. Bless the staff that support the missions. And now, Father, we're asking as they go into their meeting, allow your spirit to dwell with them, Father. Father, we ask that you give them guidance. Father, allow that the foundation of their faith lead them in their decisions when they're dealing with the people that you've given them to serve. Father, we ask that your holy will be done. We ask this in my tradition, in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Commissioner Berry, please lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Franklin, as always, and thank you for your leadership and the service that you do for this community. And thank you, Commissioner Berry. I do think we have some dignitaries. State Attorney Ginger Bowden, thank you for being here. It's always a pleasure to have you here, and thank you for the great work that you and your staff do for our community. We welcome you. And if you, at any time, would like the mic, you certainly could have it, Ms. Bowden. Are there any items to be added to the agenda?
No, sir.
Mine have all been distributed. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
No, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
No, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner.
No, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner.
None for me.
Thank you, Mr. Director. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as prepared.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. That passes 5 in favor. Thank you so much. Commissioner's Forum, Commissioner Bagash.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. It's been a couple of weeks since we've met together, and there's been a lot that's happened. So I'll just run these down real quick to save time. But the first thing I want to say is I want to recognize the Escambia County Fire Rescue Department. I want to commend them for the very dignified way that they ran that ceremony, the funeral for Terrell Jackson. I want to thank Marcus Point Baptist Church, Pastor Gordon Godfrey. I did not know firefighter Terrell Jackson. However, after hearing from his family, it was probably one of the most uplifting services I've ever been to for a funeral. It was tragic and it's very sad, but the way they sent him off was admirable. So props to everyone that was a part of that. A very sad day, but I got to say, Mr. Chairman, you were there. We appreciate the board showing up. And the young lady who was his sister was my new hero. That was probably the strongest sister that I've ever seen at a funeral. Strong, confident, upbeat in the face of tragedy. It was just awe-inspiring. So that was really something that was moving. I also want to mention, moving into other issues that are coming up, I want to thank staff for the hard work that they've done. There have been a couple big issues in my district, and we've really been driving hard on getting a solution for the Deer Run subdivision, the back entrance, trying to get that sorted out. And I do appreciate planning and zoning and development services and engineering. They've really done yeoman's work trying to get that brought in for a landing. And then obviously Wes Marino and his staff and Eric Gilmore and everyone in real estate, Tim Day working on the fire station to replace Station 20 on Bower Road. That's been a long effort, and I appreciate everyone's efforts on that because it looks like that's coming close to being completed. A couple of other quick things. We do have a neighborhood cleanup tomorrow in District 1 and District 3, Crescent Lake and Carriage Hills. So if you've got the postcards and you have items, old appliances, bikes, just stuff, tomorrow is your opportunity to get rid of it. They're going to run through there and we're going to pick up a lot of garbage. So just be prepared for that. Then I want to recognize Florida West and Scott Luth, our economic development partner. Of course, this wasn't in the media. You won't read about it because it's really great news for Escambia County. That's why you won't read about it. But I'm going to tell you about it. There was a meeting in Panama City the other day. In fact, it was yesterday. And Escambia County brought home over $20 million for economic development projects, 14.2 in my district at OLF 8. Very proud of that, the hard work of staff, engineering, planning, everyone involved, but Scott Luth and his team did a great job. And we're also bringing home $6 million for high-tech jobs, $6 million project, so $20 million for Escambia County, and it's not taxpayer money. The beautiful thing about it is it's British Petroleum oil spill penalty money from Triumph, so that's a great thing. And finally, the governor had an announcement this week for his Moving Florida Forward proposal. Lots of big projects throughout the state, but I'm very happy that one of them is right up in District 1, bordering District 5, for the Pine Forest Interchange and 6 Landing I-10. So that's a big deal. That's $162 million in new money. And I want to state for the record, that doesn't usurp our #1 priority project, which is the Beulah Interchange. It's fully funded in the 10-year plan. So some folks might have seen that and said, why'd they fund that? It's because Beulah Interchange is #1 and it's funded. And now we've got $162 million in new funding. Hopefully the legislature follows his recommendations and we get that forward. So we do have a Coffee with the Commissioner event next Wednesday. We're going to talk all about the session coming up. My special guest for that will be Michelle Salzman. She's the District 1 state representative. So that's 6:30 a.m. next Wednesday, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bergosh, and I want to commend you and Commissioner Berry on the Pine Forest I-10. That is a big win. Commissioner Bender.
Yeah, Jeff, just real quick. So, of course, when that came out, I talked to FDOT and asked about Beulah Interchange, and of course, that's still a priority. I'd say there's a plan. Is what I'll just say right now is there's a plan to still move that forward, and what was announced, I'd say assist that plan. So it's all. We saw a little part of what's going on. There's still the big part working behind the scenes, and of course our district representatives with FDOT are helping us see that through. So
absolutely. And Mr. Chairman, if I might, I was remiss. I forgot to mention something, and my counterpart, Commissioner Bender, is very modest. He wouldn't say this himself, but at the Metropolitan Planning Organization meeting on Tuesday, there was new officers elected statewide, and I'm very proud to say, and congratulations, Commissioner Bender. He was voted from the Florida-Alabama TPO to be the executive committee at large. So congratulations, Commissioner Bender.
We would have no connections at the state without Commissioner Bender, for sure. And so, just in time to protocol in order, I will be exiting the chairman's seat at approximately 6:30 tonight. And so if there's things that we need to do before then, I would expect for them to happen. Commissioner Kohler?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I just want to echo what Commissioner Bergosh said about Lieutenant Terrell Jackson. That was a moving ceremony. If you're a person of faith, it had to touch your heart. I know Gene left. I wanted to thank him, but he's the associate pastor at Warrington Baptist. I've served next to Gene for over a decade. We've got the same investment plan when we die, and I love him. I want to talk a little bit about Pensacola State College last week, because that college in Warrington has had a huge impact on Escambia County in general. They pushed out more nurses to this community than any other college, than UWF did. I went there. I'm proud to say I'm an alumni there. This last week, Gallup put out that they were the most ethical profession and the most trusted profession. The reason I highlight this is not really about me. There's a 59,000 person shortage for nursing. I know 2 of the commissioners have nurses. If you want to be part of that, get on board. It's very important. HCA gave $50,000 to try to encourage people to a boot camp. We're very fortunate to have those 2 colleges pushing out nurses. If not, we would be in a much worse situation. If you didn't know, Governor DeSantis was over in Milton today. He touted a bazillion different tax relief plans he's doing, from family tax to diaper tax to tool tax relief to everyone's going to be saving money. So it's great to live in the free state of Florida. I want to thank a lot of people, Chips and your team this week. A lot of people talk about stormwater drainage, and I don't think they really know what's going on, but there's a thing called the Omnivest plan that our department with EPA and some of them have been cleaning up that landfill for some time, and it's about 4 to 6 weeks from being done. This helps prevent that watershed going into BioChico. And I went out there and saw it. It's very impressive what they've done, and it's one of the few things we're doing to clean up our waterways around here. And then the last thing, and I'm going to have to give Jeff a kudos, went to the Wawa luncheon today, and there were 1,400 people that they're going to give 2 jobs. Well, one of them is on an intersection where Jeff and I intersected Blue Angel and 98, and they plan on putting in 40 in the Panhandle. Each store costs about $6.5 million. It's going to be a huge economic impact for the Panhandle. So thanks, Wawa, for investing in Escambia County. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Kohler. Commissioner Bender.
So I just want to say we have a neighborhood cleanup next Wednesday for those areas in Whisper Way, North Point, Ridgefield, Harbor Square subdivisions. You would get a postcard, and the media release just went out today, so that'll be Wednesday, February 8th. So I've recognized, we had our professional firefighter of the year, Nick Gradia. We had our volunteer firefighter of the year, chief of the year. We also had our volunteer firefighter, Cheyenne Smith, with the Beulah Station number 2, named Florida's Mother of the Year by the American Mothers Association. And then also Joel Richardson was named 2022 Inspector of the Year by the Florida Fire Chiefs Association. So, Eric, do we have anyone else that's getting recognized from our fire department that I'm missing? Listen, I think our public safety is doing a lot better, and of course they're getting the recognition for that. So hats off to everyone in our public safety division. And then finally, Chip Simmons, Sheriff, receiving the God and Government Award during the 46th Annual Governmental Prayer Breakfast on Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bender. Commissioner Berry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Be brief. There's a lot of good news that's already been announced. So, Governor DeSantis did mention, and as part of the press release with the appearance in Milton today, an $800,000 grant for Escambia County for a little bit more than 200 unserved homes to have fiber run. It's kind of in the what you would consider the central to North Cantonment community. So I'm very excited about that. That's certainly good news. I know there's going to be a lot more to be excited about on those endeavors, but it was nice to have an Escambia County award be part of the press release today. And I also want to send thoughts and prayers out to the family of David Elder. David was classmate of Michael's, teammate of Michael's for many, many years. Michael Rhodes, our Parks and Rec director, was a teammate of mine for a couple of summers. Had a lot of fun playing ball together. He pitched it. Was an All-American at Georgia Tech. Pitched in the major leagues for, had a number of appearances with a few different major league teams in the early 2000s. David passed away earlier this week, and certainly, such a young person. You certainly want to send thoughts and prayers out to his family. He's survived by a daughter outside of Atlanta, and it's a tough time for a lot of those Washington high school baseball family. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Berry. And what a day is. We kick off on February 2nd, the second day of Black History Month. I certainly want to thank PIO for putting together the public service announcements, and I want to thank Clara and Leroy and my Human Services Department for understanding the importance of educating everyone on the contributions that African Americans have made to this great country. And so as we talk about the climate of this country and we talk about the exclusion of different cultures, it's very important to have inclusion and to have the courage to talk about uncomfortable subjects in a toxic political climate. And so we certainly understand the significance of that, and we certainly support that. And Jeff, certainly we support and congratulate Florida West on the accomplishment. I see some of their staff there, and certainly the governor has gave some big wins to you and Commissioner Berry, but I see all of us as working together. And it was great to be there for Terrell Jackson. I knew Terrell, and to all of our firefighters. We've had some firefighters who have certainly, in the last couple of weeks, we've gotten some real statewide recognition for the contributions that they have given. And so we certainly should applaud our employees for those things. And so, again, we want to thank everyone on this weekend. Obviously, Reverend H.K. Matthews, who is a civil rights icon, we'll be celebrating with him on this Saturday as we celebrate 95 years of his civil rights fight for justice and equality. And also, we will be at Sanders Beach, Robert, for the Chappie James. And so I know that there will be some people who will be crossing the bridge and looking at the monument on tomorrow. But we thank Chappie James as we go into Black History Month for his service and his contributions to America. And so we certainly look forward to being a part of that on Saturday. With that, Wes, I'll give it to you, and I will say, Commissioner, my son, and I like this because I'll be on Escambia Citizen Watch. My son has a game at 7 in Santa Rosa, so I will be leaving at 6:30 to go see his last game, so we can do whatever we want to do, but I'm leaving at 6:30. Wes?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will not be long. I'll just simply echo all the comments that have been made from the dais tonight. A lot of good things happening here in our community, so I just echo all those comments.
Thank you, Wes. So the chair will entertain a motion for the adoption.
Move to adopt the proclamation.
Thank you so much.
Second.
Please vote. That passes 5 in favor. Thank you so much. We will, Wes, do you want to take it from here, or you want me to handle it? Oh, the proclamations, we're just ratifying A, B, and C, correct? Oh, we got to adopt
Reverend
A.
Employee of the Month.
Yeah, the Employee of the Month. All right, adopt the proclamation commending and congratulating Sergeant William Halford in the Corrections Department for his selection as the Employee of the Month for February 2023. Who's presenting?
Rich Powell.
Chief Powell.
Good evening, Chairman, gentlemen. Before we have the proclamation read, what I'd like to do is just speak briefly about Sergeant Halford here. This man, as well as the team that he leads, members of his team, are the people that we go to when things aren't right. Sergeant Halford came across some information that generated this meeting here with the State Attorney, Madam State Attorney's here, that led to the successful prosecution of a high-profile case just through his intelligence gathering and being involved at the jail at what their roles is as a security intelligence group. We work routinely with the state attorney's investigations, and the things that him and his team do are the things that we don't speak enough of. They don't get the recognition that they do every day. The grind, just last night, it's getting toward the end of the day. They had some intel that somebody had dropped some narcotics trying to smuggle into jail, and him and a couple of his team members, they all went to work. They didn't say, hey, I got to go home. They went to work, found the dope. His dog, which I asked him to bring, I guess he checked that up, went and found the dope, and we prevented it from coming inside the jail. So that's the things that don't make the headlines that are quintessential to our success. Gentlemen and ladies, just like Sergeant Halford here, please.
Whereas Escambia County has established an Employee of the Month program to recognize one employee to represent the various departments, and whereas Sergeant William Halford in the Correction Department is selected for Employee of the Month for February 2023 for the standards of excellence that he has displayed in the performance of his duties, and whereas Sergeant William Halford began his employment with Escambia County on July 29, 2013, and has served on the Tactical Response Team since June 2015, and whereas Sergeant Halford was appointed to K-9 Officer February 2020, being the first K-9 officer selected for the position, and has worked to develop and promote the new K-9 program at the Escambia County Corrections Jail, and whereas Sergeant Halford became certified in narcotics detection and evidence recovery through the United States Police K-9 Association in March 2020, and whereas Sergeant Halford has assisted in recovering countless amounts of contraband and regularly assisted law enforcement, and whereas Sergeant Halford's skills and dedication has proven to be a valuable asset in keeping Escambia County citizens safe, now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County, Florida commends and congratulates Sergeant William Halford on his selection as the Employee of the Month for February 2023. Board of County Commissioners, Escambia County, Florida, Luman J. May, Commissioner, District 3, Chairman, Stephen Berry, Vice Chairman, District 5, Jeff Burgosh, District 1, Mike Kohler, District 2, Robert Bender, District 4. Thank you.
Get him up here for a picture. You have the mic?
Thank you so much.
Real quick.
Hi, everybody, y'all.
Thank y'all.
Hey, y'all.
That's my daughter.
Good afternoon.
Y'all come. That's Officer Bell, Officer Robinson. They help me all the time. I mean, they're amazing. I couldn't do this without them. I'm getting tears. So, my mom just beat cancer today.
All right.
So it was even, I got the information on the way. I'm sorry. My administration is great. They're always supportive. Thank you to everybody, and I thank you for having me here.
Sergeant, thank you so much for your service. We really appreciate it.
Go, please. Come on.
¿Y la novia qué pasa?
Commissioners, we're just ratifying the next two, B and C. Thank you. Written communication, Madam Counsel.
If I could, please, I would like to.
Go right ahead.
I would like to introduce one of the investigators from my office, Wainwright, who actually brought this issue to my attention and told me about the wonderful work and the assistance that is provided to our office. If I could let Mr. Wright, Investigator Wright, just speak on behalf of the State Attorney's Office briefly.
Please, Mr. Wright, welcome.
Thank you, and thank you for having us here. As Ms. Madden says, the State Attorney's Office is very grateful to the work that Sergeant Halford's done. He provides us with support in ways you couldn't imagine. If I have to call him on a Saturday or a Sunday or in the evening, there's never hesitation. He's always there for us. He always has a great attitude, and we can't speak highly enough of him. I think his attitude, too, is also reflective of the command staff at the jail. You know, Chief Powell, Commander Nash, Captain Hankins are all absolutely first rate. They're the best of the best, and their leadership is permeated throughout that organization. It's not just Sergeant Halford. There's a lot of great people down there that we work with on a regular basis. So on behalf of the State Attorney's Office, we appreciate the entire organization.
Thank you, Detective Investigator Wright. Thank you so much. State Attorney Ginger Bowden, thank you. And again, congratulations to Sergeant Halford. We appreciate all that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant. So written communication, Madam Counsel, we do have one speaker. If you would entertain her. Yeah. Cynthia Cynthia Kita, I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. Cynthia? And I apologize, Cynthia, if I mispronounced your last name.
Get my little, you guys might have remembered me when I came before you before. I was known as Binder Girl. So I have some new binders for you today to give to all of you because it's on the other properties that we had. Makes it easier. Should be one for each county commissioner. So I come before you about the lien for my mom, Nancy Seidner. And then, like I said before, you might have remembered me as Binder Girl. They're a little smaller this time. I bought new binders for everyone. And I'm here to represent my mom because she has a lot of serious health issues. And I've referenced it in the purple tab. Makes it easier to have a color. So during the previous meeting, the lien was released on my brother's property on Beulah Road and my mom's home on Helms Road. And I was advised to come back because they didn't have the time to do all 4 properties because there was a lien on my sister's house and my mom's name was on it. So every subsequent property my mom was on became affected by the lien. So at the last meeting, we settled on a lien amount of $1,100 as payment in full. My brother paid the $1,100 at closing on the sale of his property on 8/6/21. And so I'm coming today to ask that the lien be removed from 438 West Winthrop Avenue, 32507, which is my sister's home, which is your first tab, or there's no tab at the first page, and then 2617 West Lee Street, 32505, which was my grandparents' house and my mom's parents' house. And so I printed out the information from the property appraiser about them, and both properties are in code through code enforcement. So I've enclosed the documentation of the error that was made in the case because of the error and the change of the previously charging from $100 per day to $20 a day. If you'll refer to the red tab, that was the fax memo stating that the lien was $64,100. And everyone agreed to the reduction because they linked both properties as my sister's in the same case. So that my sister's house is in the green tab and the neighbor's is the blue tab. And if you look at the bottom, you'll notice that they're the same case number. So it's clear that that the properties are not the same house. And if you look at the yellow tabs.
Cynthia, can you kind of close it up? You got like 3 seconds.
Okay, so what I'm here for is to get the properties lien off the other 2 properties.
Thanks, Cynthia.
Okay.
Madam Counsel.
She's given a great summary. You may remember this has been on a recent agenda, and you all continued it to have it brought forward at tonight's meeting. It basically grows out of her mother, Ms. Seidner, who owned the underlying offending property, which was 3705 West Teresa Street, which is a District 2 property. And then because she had multiple properties of which she then jointly owned with adult children, it spiderwebbed to all of those other properties. Just like the daughter has indicated to you, the board did previously give relief on 2 of those properties. Back on July the 8th of 2021, you all voted to provide partial relief to the Beulah Road and Helms Road properties in exchange for the $1,100 in hard costs. But the lien still exists out there, and the request now is to relieve these other 2 properties, 438 West Winthrop and 2617 West Lee Street. Those are in District 2 and District 3 respectively, from the same lien.
Chair, I entertain a motion.
That's right. I have a question.
Question.
Is this the one where we didn't know where the money went? Have we any idea if I think there was a sale of a property and there was a lien against it, and did we?
I think that's a different property, sir. It's
Not this one.
It's the original house that ended up with a code enforcement problem was also jointly owned with another daughter, and then the mother had spidered across. You did take for the $1,100 you did release 2 properties. as the request was at the time, and during that conversation with the board, I think everyone came to understand there'd be more properties that were encumbered, and there just wasn't time to change a request for these other two.
Cindy, are you planning to sell these properties or staying in the family? I mean, what's the intent?
Well, the 2617 is, my mom's on with her brothers and all, and they actually have that house up for sale. But the one that's on 438 Winthrop, my sister lives there.
So she homesteads that one?
Yes.
So it's,
Yes.
all right. And you're selling the other one only?
My uncle and his siblings are selling it. The Teresa Street was sold in like 2011, and, because my sister, it had damage, and then I don't think the person, my mom and them recorded it back in 2011, but I don't think they did anything with it.
Right, no problem. Commissioner Bender?
Sorry, so the property in question was the 3705 Teresa Street. When that was sold, there weren't any tax liens that were taken care of with the proceeds? Was it a?
It has exchanged hands multiple times in recent history. It was sold under a warranty deed, then a tax deed, and most recently under a special warranty deed.
But Alvin, I would ask the same question Robert was asking. I mean, why wasn't the lien satisfied when you were seeking a clear title? If they were attached to each other? I mean, it should have,
I'm not sure what
I mean,
happened in those cases,
I don't
but
even know how you could get a clean title if they were all attached and then there was a sale.
they didn't necessarily have clean
There was
title.
a quick claim deed or was it a warranty deed?
There was a warranty deed, there was a tax deed in 2018, and a special warranty deed in August of 2022. I'm sorry, that's all the
I
information.
mean, yeah, that just seems odd to me that you got a warranty deed and you had properties attached and you didn't satisfy the liens. I could see it on a quick claim. I don't see it on a warranty deed.
Mr. Chairman, if I might?
Please.
In looking at this, it appears as if the lion's share of these costs are the accruing fines, and I know this board in the past has had a willingness to, if the properties are brought up to code, to extinguish those. I want to thank Terrence Davis for sending the information earlier today with pictures, and all those 4 properties are completely up to code now. They've been cleaned up. So, you know, whenever someone's ready to make a motion, I think we collect the hard costs, which are, what, $1,100 left?
My time's counting down, baby. We'll entertain it right now.
The $1,100 has been recouped, from what I understand,
So
from the
what is the-
previous lien relief
Okay, so
that
the
you all
60,
gave.
the rest of it, 64,000 is just fines?
Lien, fines.
So the
Taylor.
$1,100's been paid, Allison, is what you're saying?
$1,100 in court costs was paid in exchange for the relief that you all gave of the 2 other properties back in 2021 when you voted.
So what do we need to
That-
do to make this go away?
You can just provide partial relief to allow these 2 properties to be freed of the lien.
Okay.
Or if you want to just say the lien goes away, that's within your discretion to do as well, and then it doesn't spider to anything.
Yeah, I would just move that we take that second option and let them go away. That's my motion.
I have a motion. We have a second. Please vote. Pass 5 in favor. Tell your mama you just saved her $60,000. You should be a special child.
Hey, maybe I'm going to be the favorite.
Maybe you get left in the wheel now.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Did the clerk's office receive proof of publication from the public hearings on the agenda and the board weekly meeting schedule?
Mr. Chairman, the clerk's office has received all proofs.
Move to waive the reading.
Second.
We have a motion second. Please vote.
Mr. Chairman, I know you're time sensitive. Do we want to move the
That passes 5 in favor.
Children's Trust up?
Yeah, let's get through the public hearings and clerk and controls report, and then let's move it up there to the end. All right, that'll be great. That passes 5 in favor. Public hearings, 531. Public hearing to consider petition to vacate a portion of Roslyn Way. Do we have any speakers? Yes. Okay, 531. Where are the speakers for 531? Okay. Patrick Licardo. 2.
Can I move this microphone?
Please, you can.
Thank you.
Anything you want, Mr. Licardo.
Thank you. Mr. May, good evening. Mr. Marino, good evening. Pam, I know you just from the TV. The rest of you folks I haven't met, but I'm glad to meet you this evening. I'm in favor of this amendment here, and mostly because it will help with the moving of the tag office over to the park area, which I'll have a little bit more to speak about when it comes up. But I'm in favor of it, and I'm glad to meet y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Liccardo. Stephen or Stephen Hossam?
Hey, good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for having us. I'm here representing property at 4901 North Palafox, the church next door to the park / project that's in question. I am the safety director for that facility. I did want to come and express my favor for the proposed amendments here and what's going to potentially happen with this project. I will speak more to this later on, but I just want to express that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
John Desky? John?
Yeah, thank you for letting me speak into this. I also will be speaking on the next portion related to this, 545, I believe. I'm the pastor of the Cross Church. That was just the man, Stephen, who just spoke. The church there next to the park, in favor of the plan that y'all have. I think it's a good plan the county's put together for the tax collector office. I'll speak a little bit more to that in the next one. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Kent Langham?
Good evening. Quickly, Kent Langham, Associate Pastor of the Cross Church. Just want to incentivize that we are fully in favor of that amendment and support the tax collector's office.
Thank you so much. Jesse Dyer?
Mr. Chairman, are some of these going to waive in support?
If you just want to waive in support, you don't have to come speak. I mean, because if you're coming back to the item, if you just want, Jesse, Chris, y'all, thank you. Mel Pino. Thank you, Commissioner Bergosh. You're a much better chairman than I am.
Thank you, Chairman May. And we're signed up for a bunch, and I am hoping that we're going to just waive in support or not for some of the future ones. But for this one, I did want to speak. But before I do, I hope you'll give me leave to say, just offer you some support. Just offer a lot of people some support right now, because it really must stick in the throats. I know it sticks in my throat. I am really happy about sounds like $800,000 for the broadband, and I'm really happy about the Beulah connector, but that's what fascists always do. They give with one hand while they squeeze the life out of other people's throats. And please support your colleague up here. These aren't easy times for a lot of people in this state, so let's just quit pretending that it's all wine and roses. The four of y'all are white, you're male, and you're registered Republicans. So you got those three things going for you. You better hope they keep being enough, because as these things usually go, the circles keep squeezing tighter. And I'm sorry for the start of Black History Month, Mr. May. It chokes me up a little bit. Just really quickly on this vacation, I don't get it. So I don't know if I'm in support of it or not. I noticed that everybody's in support of the tax collector's office, the tax collector's office, the tax collector's office. Nobody's saying anything about a potential community center or keeping some of that park. I don't understand why the vacation of the road is on the agenda before the rezoning items that have to do with it. I don't understand, who is the county vacating the road to? Themselves? The church? Somebody else? I mean, a vacation indicates that you're giving it up, not necessarily just the maintenance, the private property. It's right in there in the ordinance that you guys are giving this property up. Who is receiving it? I called one of my friends that lives on Rosalind. He hadn't heard about it. And on one of these backup items, it's got a whole list of addresses, but it doesn't say.
Would you wrap it up, Mel, and can I
Yeah.
get you an answer?
Absolutely.
Why are we
It doesn't
vacating
say
the
that
rest?
anybody did anything with any of those addresses, is what I wanted to mention, Commissioner May.
Okay,
Thank you.
Mel, let me assure you, and I know that how active it is. I am the Parks and Rec Commissioner. I've worked in Parks and Rec all my life, and I believe in public spaces. The underuse of that park gives us the ability to do more. We're still going to have basketball courts. We're still going to have green space. We're still going to have playground track, but we're going to have a community center with restrooms, with bathrooms, with staff on site. That makes it a place that children can go, that the children from Brentwood Elementary School can walk over to that park and feel safe. And so that's the goal.
So the purpose of the vacation is to allow us to have enough space for the site, to develop the site,
So who are we vacating it to?
to us.
We're vacating it to ourselves.
Yes,
Just so we can make sure we got a community center and a park and playground equipment, all that.
yes, so
All
all
right.
the facilities will fit.
Okay. That makes sense to me. Kevin Wade, Waveman Sport. And Mel, just so you know, I mean, it's right away, and you couldn't put a building on right away, so that's why we had to vacate it, to get it into us, which is perfect. Tim Barnes, are you waving in support, or? All right. And Benjamin Hilt, are you waving in support? Thanks, Benjamin. The chair entertain a motion.
Move the item.
Second.
Please vote. Passes 5 in favor. Thank you so much. 532, public hearing?
Any speakers, Mr. Chairman?
No, sir. We have a speaker? Do we have a speaker? One. Who? Benjamin? Are you waving in support, Benjamin, or do you want to speak on this? Thanks, Ben. Chair, entertain a motion.
Move the item A, 1, 3, 4, and B.
Second.
All right. Please vote. Passes 5 in favor. Clerk and Comptroller's report.
Thank you. I have 3 items on the consent agenda. However, I'd like to take this minute to give you an update on the Auditor General's report. The preliminary findings came out on January 6th. We had a meeting. The county attorney was there. In a quick summary, there are 3 findings. The first one relates to Escambia County Code of Ordinances not being consistent with state law as it relates to the TDT administrative cost and allowable uses. Finding number 2 relates to the board taking or lacking a process to evaluate an expenditure believed to be unauthorized. Finding number 3 relates to the need to establish policies and procedures that require the board to document authorization for an expenditure to use TDT dollars primarily to promote tourism. This is a very simple summary. There was the 3 findings required a response. The county attorney has submitted those responses. And just for your edification, the clerk's office was always aware of the inconsistencies of the ordinances and follows state statute. Thank you for your time. I have
Madam-
3 items for vote.
Madam Clerk, is that an amendment to your report, or is that just
It is
narrative?
for your information. The
Okay.
report is preliminary and has been given to you.
Move the clerk's report.
Second.
Passes 5 in favor. .545, public hearing, Growth Management Report.
Yes, so right quick, this is to review and adopt a small-scale map amendment for the property located at the reference item.
All right, well, Horace, actually, we have 9 speakers. And so if they want to speak, they're welcome to speak, or if they're waving in support, I think that it's been established that this is going to pass 5-0.
Is there anyone that wants to speak to it
Yeah,
that doesn't agree with
That
it?
doesn't agree with it. And so, Patrick Licardo, will you raise your hand if you're in support? Okay, hold on, I'll get to Stephen Holtzman. You support? Thank you, sir. Mark Desi, do you support? Mark? Thanks, Mark. Kent Langham? He's in support. Thank you. Dr. Todd Burnett? Support? Yes. Thank you, sir. Chris Lapata, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Thanks, Chris. Mel Pino?
Just for your information, sir.
Would you like to speak? Come on. Two.
Thank you, Melissa Pina, 413 Southeast Boblets. I absolutely know you're a Parks and Rec commissioner, Chairman May. I get that. I just want to go on record right here as saying that I spoke in support of this at the planning meeting for both recommendations on both the flu change and the zoning change. And usually I would be fighting tooth and nail, closing down a park for anything. But I think that your vision for it, after you've explained it to some people, the community center, all of it, it makes sense. However, I find it a little bit odd, now that I've had a chance to look over this stuff more quickly, still very much in favor of the recommendation that the planning board gave y'all, that this is, kosher. Why are we getting rid of the very designations that would have necessitated that some parks space stays on there? Because you blew away the use-specific flu changes. There were 3 use-specific: commercial, recreational, and MUU, I think, or some kind of other use, and they're all being replaced with public. Now, the public is a really clean way to do this, because everything that you want to do there, that is anything that everyone should support, they can all happen. Guess what? They don't have to. They don't have to. They could clear cut every single tree on there. They could vacate that road and rip it up, and the entire thing could become a tax office and a big old parking lot, because there was nothing preserved for recreational. By making it public, any of those things can happen. It also doesn't necessitate that change is not sufficient. So at the very least, you better make it really clear what you're looking for, because legally speaking, this doesn't have to be anything but a tax office and a parking lot.
Melon, I appreciate that, and I can assure you, I do have a few more months on this board. It's going to be a park, and it has, whatever plan has to be brought forward before this board. And if it doesn't have public space, recreation, it won't pass. Kevin Wade. Thanks, Kevin. Tim Barnes.
Hello, I work for the Hands and Feet of Jesus Ministry, and we use that park. We use that park because we work in the county from Molino to the Bay, and it's central, it's halfway. So we do a lot of work there. The other super important part about that is its proximity to Washburn. Washburn's one of the greatest places in the county where homeless and people who are in a bad situation can get things. They can wash their clothes, they can use the bathroom, they can take a shower, and so that's a very important place also. So because of the central location, because of the proximity of where it is in the county, then we do a lot of things there, okay? We do a lot more than just work with homeless, okay? We give out backpacks to young people who are going to school, we give haircuts, we give out bikes, we repair bikes, and so there's a lot of work that we do there to try to help people. Our major concern is kind of like what Ms. Pino said, and that is, it's easy to say that we're going to do all these grandiose things there, but we all know the inch and mile principle, okay? And so if you start taking a percentage of the park to do a tax collector's office, which seems inane to me and everybody that I've told that we're doing that, we're taking a park and we're putting a tax collector's office in it, that's crazy. We have all this property all over Escambia County that's sitting there that no one's doing nothing with it. Okay, it's everywhere. You drive around Escambia County, there's property everywhere. Put it there. Don't put it in a park that we use all the time. That just seems kind of crazy to me and everybody that knows about it. Leave it a park, Let us keep using it for what we use it for, and there you go. We don't have to worry about the inch and mile. We don't have to worry about people doing things there that they say they're going to do, and then somehow something comes up and it doesn't work that way. Or 6 months later, we take 75% of the park and we say we're going to do something else and it doesn't work out that way. We're all adults here, and we know that sometimes things don't always work out the way they're.
Tim, thank you, Tim. I certainly appreciate it. And what I'm excited about Stephen and Mark and all the people at the church and a young generation of people who are going to be engaged. I'm concerned about the people at Brentwood School. It's not closing a park. It's enhancing and improving the park. And so that's what I'm excited about. And so when we often see people outside in tents, when we have a building that has washers and dryers, when we have a building that has restroom, it's going to be an improvement. The utilization of that park will not be diminished at all. So I certainly, Ms. Liccardo and her husband, when I got elected 10, 12 years ago, that park was the #1 issue for them. And when that neighborhood association comes forth for the neighborhood that they've invested their entire life in to see that improvement, I certainly support it. So I talked to Mike, Tim, and I certainly support you. But as the commissioner of that district, I certainly support where we're going with this. With that, the chair will entertain a motion.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I may, just a couple things real quick. One, we were somewhat forced into this because we're trying to be good stewards of the tax dollar, along with Mr. Lunsford, who realized that his current facility wasn't going to work out. We acquired a building across the street for him, and then we ended up using it after some of our buildings incurred Hurricane Sally damage. He has very specific, I want to say, regulations and guidelines on where he can put an office and how it serves the community. And having this location be close to where the, I think, former office was, he already has approved driving courses and things like that. So it's, I think we see it as a win for everybody in the community to be able to serve those that are in this area with the services of the tax collector.
And I think that my commitment, Tim, to the neighborhood association, to the church, is that as we look, I would instruct our staff, as we look at the design, that we look at parents whose children need to participate in that park, that we look at the school and the school staff and the teachers. And so it was not without due diligence that we didn't engage everyone. And so it's everyone's park. It's not a park that stays open 24 hours a day for people to sleep in. That's not what our parks are geared up for. Our parks are geared up for people from sunrise to sunset, for people to utilize it and to appreciate it, and from a infant to an adult. And so I think that we're going to continue to make this a valuable asset for our community and something that's safe for our children, a place where kids can get in a tunnel and walk across the street and feel extremely safe. Without being attacked by dogs, without being scared, and having staff and lighting on site. I think it's just, I think it's a great win. So I appreciate that.
And Mr. Chairman, again, I think with your leadership, it became more than just the tax collector's office.
Right.
It became the community center. Everything was added with you working with staff and everyone else to turn it into something more than just a government building.
Well, I mean, it's non-traditional. I think for once in District 3, we're thinking out of the box. No one's ever seen a tax collector office that became a town hall center. And so I think that we're innovative. I think that this is the precedent and the protocol that people will see things like this happen in the future. And so if we keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result, then that's insanity. And so let's try it different. And I think at the end, people will be happy.
So I'll move the item, sir.
Thank you.
Second.
Please vote. That passes 5 in favor.
Yes, sir.
Passes 5-0. Thank you.
If I may, Commissioner, the next item is the rezoning that's associated with this approved future land use change, Z 2023-01. The planning board made a
Howard, we have two speakers, Mel Pino and Kevin Wade. Mel? And we get through this, Rob, I'm probably going to go ahead and take the Children's Trust. All right.
413 Southeast Bible, it's Melissa Pino. I'll be quick and probably be waving on the second two. I'll just try to get everything that I can in here. And Chairman May, I hope you understand I am here to be loud about supporting what you want on this property. Pardon me if I'm a little mistrustful with some of the changes that are going in place. And what's sad about this to me is that we're at the point where we're killing our public spaces like a suicide. It's like a permanent solution to a temporary problem. My friend that I called on, Rosalind Way, today, I trust him. He's redone my houses. He has the codes to my buildings. This is how much I trust this person. And he told me today, he said, Mel, whatever the county will do, anything, because nothing's been done there for so long. He said, we've got people passed out on play equipment. People are afraid to bring their kids in that park. They're going all the way to the other end, and something's got to be done. And God knows I get that. It's just preserve as much of this green space as you can, because this pressing problem we have right now may not be a problem in 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, once Mr. Marino gets going on his shelter and his vision for that, and we start getting our arms around some of this problem. Preserve as much as you can, because that problem may get solved, but once blades of grass, trees, and green space are blown away, that never comes back. Never comes back. So I hope that it is the vision that you're wanting once it gets implemented. Thank you.
Thank you, Mel. Kevin Wade. Thank you, Kevin. Chair, entertain a motion.
Do we have one more speaker? I thought Kevin.
No, that's it. That was just Kevin. Yes, sir.
Okay, I move the item in the affirmative.
Second.
The next item is the 546 to amend the official zoning map.
That passes 5 in favor. Keep going, Horace.
Okay, that's 546. 547 is an opt.
546, we do have a speaker, Mel. Mel support. Chair, entertain a motion for 546.
So moved. Approve it.
I thought we already voted on it.
546. Oh, 545. Yeah.
I think you need a motion, a second, and a vote on the 546, which is the map amendment.
Yes.
That's what that's what I just got.
That's what that was.
Yeah,
546.
that's what I just got. So now we're moving to 547.
547 is to review and
Mr.
transmit.
Chairman, I'm so sorry, we haven't had everyone, oh, it just came through, I apologize.
I like it. It's good.
547, and we do have 3 speakers.
To review and transmit, this is for an opt-out request to review and transmit.
All right,
To
cool.
DEO.
Meredith Bush.
Waiving
Support.
support.
All right, Mel Pino.
Yes.
Support. Kevin? All right. Chair, entertain a motion.
I move the 547.
Second.
Make my job easy.
That passes 5 in favor. Thank you. Horace?
Consent agenda for March 2nd.
Move the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you. Please vote. That passes 5 in favor. That passes 5 in favor. County Administrator's report. Wes, would you mind if we took up the Children's Trust vote first, and then I would turn it over to Commissioner Berry?
Perfectly fine to me.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask you? I know we have to send a minimum of 3 per slot. There's 2 slots. Looks as though we've got 8 people. I mean, were you wanting us to cut that to 6? or-
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We cut it to 6.
So pass out a ballot. Please pick your top 6, and then we'll tally
So
the
can
vote.
we send 6 and 6? Would that qualify then? Because, I mean, it would then be essentially 3 for each one.
I
Or do
would-
we need to send 3 for one, 3 for the other?
I would recommend 3 unique names per vacancy. That is what I would recommend, because I don't want the governor's office to boot.
So we could
that.
take a vote in the top 6, and we can say the first 3 are for the first vacancy and the second, yeah. So let's just vote, and we'll have 6, and the first 3 will be for the first vacancy, and the second 3 are for the
Well-
other vacancy.
Okay.
At that, if you take it for the 3 highest vote getters, then you're essentially getting 1 from a tier 1 and 1 from a tier. You know what I'm
Let's
saying?
take an alphabetical order. The first 3 alphabetically, or first 3 alphabetically go together, and next 3.
All right, perfect.
Yeah, let's do that. Thank you.
I just put checks there. That's what. No. I just checked that.
check the box. And follow instructions. They'll have to figure it out. They're gonna count they're just gonna count the number, whether you put one and I put it.
Well, Steve, so let's be clear. So we're doing the first three alphabetically, we'll go for the first slot, and the second three alphabetically, we'll go for the second slot.
It seems okay. I mean, as long as there's a clear top six, then I think we can do that. As long as there's not like a tie for sixth or something. So where's the tournament? Tonight's the last game of the regular season?
This is it.
When's the tournament?
Milton.
Oh, the tournament.
Oh, that's in South Walton in
Where?
February, South Walton.
really?
Yeah.
I thought the ranking was determined by.
Madam Clerk, do you need 5 minutes? Do you want us to take up some items, or are we almost there?
Do we want to keep moving, or do we think we got it?
I think they're ready.
Ready? Okay.
Delana?
Mr. Chairman, we have 2 votes for Polly Bennett, 3 votes for Suzanne Riles, 5 votes for Carol Seacon, 5 votes for James Walker Wilson, 4 votes for Rex Northup, 3 votes for Alfonso Henderson, 4 votes for Jennifer McFerrin, and 4 votes for Thomas Danheiser.
So, Delana, were there 2 people with 3 votes? Is that correct?
We have someone with,
I know there was one with 2,
We
so
have
that person's out. So,
and we have 2 people with 3 votes
there were
as
2
well, yes,
votes.
sir.
There were 2 people with 3 votes. All right, Madam Counsel, how about we have one ballot with those 2 applicants on it? All right, can you create one ballot that has those 2 applicants?
Who are those 2?
It was Suzanne Riles and Alfonso Henderson were the 2 with 3 votes each.
Yeah, can we have another ballot?
Yeah.
And I will say Al was the only African-American that submitted and that applied for his job there.
Sorry, Jose, those 2 names were Suzanne Riles and Alfonso Henderson.
Yeah. Al Henderson, who's at Human Relations, yeah. So what, are we going to take another ballot, or do we just vote?
No, I know that. McFerrin, oh, Dan, Tom. No, Tom. Okay. All right. All right.
Mr. Chairman, so we're voting for the one we want to keep?
Yep.
Yes.
Putting that, okay.
Yep.
All right.
I'll deal with it. It's fine. It's fine. All right.
Mr. Chairman, we have 5 votes for Alfonso Al Henderson.
Good. So,
Mr. Chairman, I would move one slot of 3 candidates to be Tom Danheiser, Al Henderson, and Jennifer McFerrin, with the second slot of 3 candidates to be Rex Northup, Carol Seacon, and Walker Wilson.
Second.
we have a motion and a second.
Mr. Chairman, may I clarify who that second was? I apologize.
I got it.
Thank you,
Commissioner
Commissioner
Bergosh.
Bergosh.
All right.
Passes 5 in favor. Commissioner Berry, thank you for taking over. I think this will be the last time I have to do it.
That's early to say that, buddy. It's only.
It is early. Let's hope I got to do it.
It's Groundhog Day. It is Groundhog Day, so I don't know. We'll see. All right, well, best wishes, Commissioner May. Safe travels to Santa Rosa County, and hope LJ puts a lot of points on him. Mr. Administrator?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are 6 items on the technical public service consent agenda. Drop car 1, drop car 2, and there are no speakers on the balance.
All right, entertain a motion for the balance.
Move the balance.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comments? Seeing none, please vote.
Hey, Chips, you said we're ready to go on the vessel, so
Do we have
it shouldn't take that
let me know
long. Okay.
For the rest of the agenda? Okay. Let me know ahead of time, so I'm not, okay.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, that was 5 votes in, or 4 votes in favor. I
Okay.
apologize.
Is it going to flash on my screen now? Can you
It
make
should
flash?
have.
Okay,
I'm
I'm sorry, I
sorry.
didn't see it. All right. Item passes 4-0. Mr. Administrator?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are 24 items on the budget finance consent agenda. Please drop car 2-1, car 2-2, car 2-3, and there are no speakers on the balance.
All right. Board, I entertain a motion.
I move the balance.
Is there a second?
Second, just hold on a second.
All right, a second. And we have no speakers on this?
No speakers.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Bender, you have the floor.
Thank you. Actually, let me just hold the 8 and 9. We'll just throw that out there for a second.
Okay. So,
Mr. Chairman?
do you want to chat about them for a second, Robert? What would you like to do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really looking to drop it or anything. It's just, this has definitely gone up a lot in the last couple of years. I know that they're doing a good service, and that's fine. I think we just need to look at the structure of this. I'm going to get with Rodriguez next week, and but I would say that we've been supplementing this service probably to the detriment of our fixed routes, and so I would at least like to try to look at this going forward.
Okay.
Again, I guess I don't need to hold it actually, but just
Make
putting it on the radar.
Make a note that you have your eye on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Super. Any other comments, board? All right, we have a motion and a second. Please vote. And I'm sure Rodriguez duly noted that, and thank you. All right. Item passes 4-0. Mr. Administrator?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Car 3-1 has been resolved, and that leaves car 3-2 concerning an option agreement with Blue Stem Partners LLC.
All right, board, I'm sorry, okay, who's speaker? I'm sorry? Okay, do you want to scoot one seat over? I can't, I'm not moving, so I can't hear you. All right. Mr. Bell? Mr. Bell? Hi. You
Hello,
have 3 minutes, sir.
Commissioners.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your time. My name
Yes,
is
sir.
Ryan Bell. I'm founding broker of Kinetic Realty Services. Recently moved to town and just recently recruited an agent from Tampa area that I worked with while I was down there. I have shared with him this project, and we have engaged a few developers. Those developers have interest to potentially make an offer for the purchase of the entire property. So I understand economic development. I understand jobs. There's a lot of people that live out there now. There's 30,000 plus people that live in that area. And some of those folks are folks like myself and friends that would love to see that area be an area where they can shop, play. They already work there. So I understand there's a decent master plan in place. And I believe that we've engaged some developers that would be willing to take the entire project on. So I would ask that you would, whether it's a vote no or a wait for that vote. We've had 3 weeks of engaging these developers. I attempted very strongly to get you a letter of intent. Unfortunately, I didn't have that, was on the phone with an attorney for one such developer on my way over here. So would just respectfully, no doesn't mean no totally. It could just mean no for right now. to give more time for more interest, to see a full master plan put in place that would help the community. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments, Mr. Bell. Board, that's our only speaker. Jeff, do you?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I mean, obviously, you know, we understand you were here a couple weeks ago, and the fact of the matter is, though, you know, I hear what you're saying, but it's until I have a contract with good faith money, it's pie in the sky. These guys are going to get to work. It's a 6-month, essentially. Have you read it? It's just 6 months. It gives us the opportunity to negotiate with them. This is a project that I've been involved in since 2015, since I started running. It's been a long process. We do have a master plan. It's a fantastic one. We've made a lot of concessions. The getting where we are right now required a lot of compromise. It was never supposed to have anything on that field except for jobs-creating high-tech industry. Along the way, we had to make some compromises. So there's plenty of space on there. We're going to move forward with this tonight. I fully anticipate we'll do it. And if your guys and your team are serious about it, there's nothing says you can't make an offer while we're negotiating with them. You can put one in the second position, or you can make us an offer for the rest of it. But I don't want to hold up, and I don't want to back away from a deal we potentially have here. So for my vote in my district across the street from where I live, where I've lived for 18 years, I support what's going to happen, and I certainly hope that I have the support of my counterparts. I don't need anything from you. Thanks for being here. Thank you.
Jeff, I'd probably echo that. I mean, we held it a couple weeks ago, thinking that, okay, we got something, and it was nothing different than what we had received before. And so, you know, the fact that, you know, we do have someone that's willing to try to put a tenant on these acres, I'm willing to move forward with that tonight as well.
All right, so I'll move the item in the affirmative.
Is there a second? Then I do
Second.
have some comments.
Yeah.
All right, Board, I've not spoken to Mr. Bell, and this is not related to Mr. Bell's comment nor Mr. Bell's client. I do have some reservations. There's a couple of issues in some language in the actual agreement. I think that we need to move it to the 16th, have a little bit of conversations with the attorney and the administrator. I think there's a couple of small red line things that we need to make in that agreement, and then bring that back or potentially communicate that to their counsel.
You're talking about for what we have a motion in a second on?
So,
Yes,
yeah.
I am.
So there's a, you want to talk about anything specific?
Scott, do you want to come forward and address any of this? I mean, we've got Scott Luth here, we've got Florida West here. Yeah, I mean, Steve, I'd like to know more about that. You know, we've already kicked it down the road once. I mean, Scott, do you have any interest in speaking to this?
Again, be happy to answer any questions that y'all may have. I know I think working with the county attorney, we found a couple small changes that we discussed today, but if there's more than that, then I'll have to defer to y'all on the board to know whether there's something.
Stephen, we can never talk on these things until we're right here. What is
Sure.
the issue? What's the issue?
I mean, there's some language in there that's just in the wrong spot, just literally.
Is it something we can fix at the table?
That part may be something that could be fixed at the table. There is,
Is it something you're not, okay, let me ask it
Yeah.
a different way. Is it something you'd rather not discuss publicly?
there's something, there's a part of the agreement that I'm not 100% comfortable with, yes. That's correct.
Okay. Allison, do you share that concern? Is it something that you guys can fix?
I think these are policy-related decisions of the board, so.
Okay, so it's not a
I
legal
can-
issue that we're walking into, potentially?
Well, the one part is legal, but that is probably fixable. It's language. There's one part where it refers to it's got the wrong pronoun. You know, the parties are identified incorrectly, but that's probably fixable. My concern is there's, the two parties in the contract, we're accepting basically simply what came. And I think that there is a small amount of red line that we need to edit and send back, in my opinion. But I would rather bring that back rather than trying to make a red line at the dais. And, when someone's asking for 6 months with, 6 months with no money down,
Yeah.
I don't think it's inappropriate to say, let's 2 weeks. I realize we put it off 2 weeks, but I don't think, in the world of these types of projects, these are not insurmountable timeframes.
Well, I guess this is the first I'm hearing that there
I
was
understand.
kind of a
Well,
snag.
it's the unfortunate circumstances of abiding by the law.
Yeah, well, I
where we
appreciate
don't
that.
get to talk, so.
Scott, are these people still going to be around if we kick them down the road another 2 weeks?
We'll be happy to reach out. Like I said, we were just, found out that there was some edits that need to be done in the contract today. So again, just in our conversations, we believe that they're items that should be accepted by both parties. But at the end of the day, we'll reach out and notify the company of those changes and go from there.
All right. Well, look, hey, I'm not gonna force the issue. I'm not gonna die on a hill. There's two. I can count. It looks like we'll be bringing this back. So I will rescind my motion, Mr. Chairman.
And I don't want to certainly vote it down. We just take no action and bring it back in 2 weeks. That's the only intent. All right. Thank you, Jeff.
So,
Roberts.
Stephen, you just want us to have our concern. Again, there was just some little things in there that
Yes.
I was, just relay those to the attorney.
Yes, I think that's I think that's appropriate. Like I said, it's some small red line stuff. We just, we as a party in this haven't had much input.
Yep.
And there's a slight bit of input that I think that we need to have into the agreement before we execute it. That's all.
Sounds good.
No, I appreciate that. And the final thing I'll say on it, Stephen, and I appreciate that, is, my understanding of it from reading it and looking it over and speaking with Scott was that this was just essentially gave them the right to negotiate over that specific parcel. We still had a lot of latitude in what any final agreement would look like. That's why but look, I'm gonna.
Yeah. Hey, and Jeff, nobody, I assure you, my other than maybe my dear friend that left for a ball game, nobody wants to move. Nobody wants to move this property more than we do.
I know.
I've got 10 years in it. So
I know you do. All right. Well, I guess 2 weeks.
right.
2 weeks is 2 weeks. We'll bring it back.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Administrator. That completes your portion. Madam Attorney.
Yes, sir. There's just one item on my report. This is bringing back to you an item which the board voted on back on October 6th during the board meeting. By a majority, the board voted on October the 6th to pay $6,960.02 for various expenses related to Matthew Solover's FDOH administrative proceedings. That payment has not successfully processed through the clerk's office. The clerk's office, and I, of course, am not speaking for her, but I believe that they had some concerns about the authority to allow for the payment to be processed. There has been a conversation exploring the idea of getting an Attorney General's opinion. In my conversation with the opinions desk at the Attorney General's opinion, that is not a realistic option at this point because the board has already taken official action and it's against their internal policies to wade into it. I am bringing it back this evening for purposes of whether or not the board wants to provide me any authority or direction or insight on how it would like to proceed.
All right. Thank you, Madam Counsel. Board members, Commissioner Bergosh.
Yeah. This is an item I brought. It's an item from my discretionary fund. It's an item that I'm comfortable with is completely legal. The board made a finding that it serves a public purpose. We're a non-charter county. We have a lot of home rule authority. And I certainly am disappointed that this wasn't paid. The county, not on a routine basis, but not infrequently has paid these sorts of things on behalf of the county. So paying it on behalf of an employee, according to our attorney, certainly looks as though it's legal and appropriate. So, Madam Counsel, what do we need to do to get this off of dead center? It's on the agenda. What authority, what motion do I need to make to move this forward so that we can make sure that this is paid, this appropriate item?
The board can certainly direct that legal action be taken. I don't have the authority to do that without board action. The board can decide to reconsider its decision from October the 6th. The board could ask that, I'm more than willing to attempt further conversations with Mr. Lee in the clerk's office if they're open to that, to see if there is, any other option that I could bring back to you at a future board meeting. I'm open to your direction.
Well, okay. Well, I want to hear from my counterparts.
Well, Commissioner, we do have one speaker. Do you want to hear from her?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, Melissa Pino.
Yeah.
And then then we'll take it back up, and you've got the floor when we come back, and we'll see what the other comments are.
Thank you, Chairman Barry. Melissa Pino, 413 Southeast Boblets. I know some of this stuff I've said before. I'm going to say it again, even though people are perhaps tired of hearing it, because there may be some people out there that haven't heard this yet. In addition to the information that Ms. Childers provided you all with earlier, what she left out, of course, is that she wasn't doing it right on the TDT funds. Of course, the county ordinance was not correct, but never in all those years did she correct that. Just as she paid out on the 401A until she got on a SNIT and then decided that it was illegal, which she's really boxed herself into a corner on that one because it's a lose-lose for her. She was either wrong before or she's wrong after. Either way, she should have to be paying for the difference out of her own pocket, as she should on the TDT expenditures. And she's got a bond to cover for it, so it's not like I'm asking her to mortgage her house. So, where does it stop? It is every single time she just doesn't want to pay something so she can bring something political against you guys? You're just gonna, I mean, is that what it's going to be? As I understand, her legal argument is there's no black and white saying that you guys can do this. So every single time you guys vote now that there isn't something in state statute that says specifically this is applicable, can she just bring this and say she's not going to cut checks and we're just going to do this over and over? Or is there finally going to be a precedent set that this gets pushed back on, because it's ridiculous and it's costing the taxpayers a lot of money? Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. That's all the comments. Commissioner Prakash.
Yeah, well, I just want to go back to the discussion. I certainly don't want to revisit the item. This board considered the item. We duly considered it thoughtfully, and we voted to move it forward. We affirmatively voted to move it forward. This government will come to a grinding halt if we don't stay in our lanes and do our jobs. We put it forward. It's lawful. It needs to be paid. I mean, I know there are other issues swirling, but we need to look at this. It's very important.
What would you like to do?
I would like to authorize the attorney to take whatever action she needs to compel the payment of this lawful charge that we've voted. That's what I'd like to do.
All right. I'll second it for discussion. Commissioner Kohler.
Yeah, I wasn't here for that vote, and I spent a lot of time reviewing this last night. I'm the only licensed nurse up here. I went to the FDOH site last night. I want to protect the power of the board. I agree with that. But I respectfully believe that the board made a very bad decision, and I'll tell you why. The administrative complaints in there running 2 different medical clinics are very serious. I don't know who Dr. Elders was. I don't know who the paramedic is, but they're very concerning. But what's more concerning is that as a board, this Matt Selver signed the stipulation that he would agree to all this, which was reviewed by the medical doctor for the state of Florida, the Surgeon General. I don't know why we would have got involved in that as a board. That's my concern. I think that we overstepped our boundaries with this. And so from that point, I don't agree with the clerk not paying the board, but I don't think the board should be in the business of overseeing the FDOH. That's my opinion.
If I might just add something onto that. There was a process. This individual was accused. There were allegations, and it was ugly, and it was continuing, and his due process rights were violated. It was a horrible situation, and it put the board in a terrible place. Our own processes in HR were not followed. A lot of allegations were made, and there was a lot of reasons why they were. I would say for every allegation that was made, each and every one of them was refuted by a medical director, the former medical director of the county. One by one, they were refuted. And I would say this, Mike, if he was really Jack the Ripper out there, they never, ever would have made a settlement with him where he walked right out of that office with his paramedic's license and continued his career. They wouldn't have done it. He didn't admit to anything. The only thing he did was he saved this board and these taxpayers potentially tens of thousands of dollars because he was going to fight this. He was going to take it all the way, and I believe he was going to be successful. And so, on advice of insurance counsel, who saw the potential liability up to $800,000 for this county, we settled for a $200,000 settlement. The insurance company paid for it. It was a horrible miscarriage of justice for this young man. It ruined his life, ruined his career, and it was a horrible thing that happened. I know it happened before you got here. It's easy to grab one document and kind of pull that out of context, but I will tell you this, there's a lot more to the story, but we're really not talking about that. What we're talking about right now is one specific process. The board made a vote. Whether or not you agree with the vote that we made a vote out of my discretionary funds to pay $6,900 to make this guy whole. That's the issue that we're talking about, not what happened 2 years ago, 4 years ago, allegations, spaghetti against the wall, because that's what happened. It's about one specific process. It's about staying in our lanes. We make the decisions, we put things forward, and unless it's illegal, the clerk's is supposed to pay them. And when that stops happening with your 401As, and now with this, things just devolve into dysfunction. So again, Mike, I hope that you'll support this motion. It's important that we stay in our lanes. If people are gonna start double checking and triple checking and just for reasons I don't understand not paying things because they don't like it, things don't work well. This is $6,900 from my discretionary. The board already voted that it served a public purpose. The vote today is all about protecting your power. It's about protecting your power. If you want to let people just say, we don't think so, so we're just going to sit on it for 4 months. It was sat on for 4 months. 4 months. We didn't even know it wasn't paid for 3 months. I've heard every excuse in the book. Well, it was busy. It was the Christmas season. You know what? I guarantee you Ed Fleming's invoices ain't waiting 90 days to be paid. I guarantee you. Guarantee you Matt Danheiser's invoices didn't wait 90 days to get paid. You know, I'm prepared to take this as a vote, but Madam Attorney, the vote that we're going to take right now, there's a motion and a second, is only on giving you the authorization to do what you need to compel payment. This vote that we're taking is not on the original issue, which was this board's vote to approve paying that. That's my understanding.
Yeah, absolutely, Commissioner.
All right, Mike.
Yeah, even not being an attorney, I can tell you that's what the vote is. And you know, before we call the question, Jeff, we probably need to hear from our other colleague. I'm sorry, Mike. You have the floor again.
The thing is, you can't. I've been in the medical business for years. All you have to do is go look at the FDOH website tonight. Mm-hmm. There is a process, and I've had over 400 licensed professionals. If I was to support this, I'd be tarred and feathered by the medical community. This is such a breach of overreach for this board. I don't agree with the payment. That's fine.
That's all we're talking about.
Well, I can't get there because I didn't vote for that, though. You can't hold me accountable for something that I wouldn't agree to say that I should pay for it. You see my position? If it was something different, but no, this is too much for me based on what the FDOH and the state surgeon general put out.
Commissioner Bender.
Thank you.
What do you think?
Mike, I voted against it, and if you'd been here, it would have been a 3-2 vote, sounds like, against. But I'm telling you, right, because Doug wasn't here, so it was a 3-1 vote, and I dissented. But I lost, right? I mean, I voted for the reason I did because of you know, we had already settled the $200,000, he signed a release, all that stuff. But when I lost that, then the board's direction was to pay it. And so I'm going to support this motion because on that premise, not because I agree with, you know, with what I agree with what you're saying, but I think once the board takes direction, then that's the direction the board's decided on. So.
So what exactly are you asking Jeff for Allison to do?
Well, the motion that I made was to allow our attorney whatever she needed to do in order to compel the payment of the charge that we voted for. Is that about it?
I'm translating that to mean that
A writ of mandamus?
we have the right to file a pleading in a court of appropriate jurisdiction. That's what I read that as.
Okay.
Any other comments?
Yeah. So Jeff, what are we willing to spend on this then?
Nothing. In-house. You can do this. Not a penny.
Okay, the minimal then. That's what all.
Yeah, no, we're not hiring lawyers to do this. We're already paying them.
Okay, thanks.
All right, board. Seeing no more comments, please vote. Item passes 3-1 with Commissioner Kohler in dissent.
Thank you,
Madam-
gentlemen.
Madam Counsel? That's all? Fantastic. All right. Hearing no other business come before the board, adjourned. See you next week.